like to share a story now. An experience I had a number of years ago when I was living in New York City. And how many of you liked the Beatles? And who was your favorite Beatle? Ringo. I liked Paul. But anyway, I was living in New York and I was working as what was called a music copyist at that point, where I was working on Broadway shows and writing notes, laying out all the pages for the different musicians to be able to read the music from. Excuse me. And so you'd sit and write notes all day long, and if you're working on a Broadway show, sometimes you'd be working 12 and 14 hours a day. So by the end of the day, you were tired, and you'd been sitting there all day. So I worked at 60th and Broadway, and I sometimes then would like to walk up to 79th Street, so then I'd take the crosstown bus home. But it'd give me time to get moving a little bit, right? So I left work one night, and I was walking up Broadway, and it was dark already. And I went to cross a side street, and I looked, and nothing was coming, and I went to step out into the street. And suddenly, this cab goes tearing by. I don't know where it came from. I mean, I literally had to jump back, and I don't even want to think what might have happened if it had hit me. I might not be standing here. And I remember thinking, whoa, they're really in a hurry. And I remember looking at it after they passed, and I saw that there were two people in the back seat, and one had their head over on the other person's shoulders, and I thought, and they were going over toward the west side of town. I don't know what that's about, but I'm just glad I'm still standing here. So I took a couple deep breaths, got myself back, a little organized, continued walking up, and got to 79th Street, took the bus across town, got home, kind of forgot about it, had dinner, relaxed, and then I turned the TV on to watch the news. And I found out that John Lennon had just been shot. And his apartment was on the Upper West Side, and they did not wait for the ambulance. They put him in a cab and rushed him to the hospital on the west side of town. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you. But that could have been the path that the cab would have taken to take him to the hospital. And that cab, excuse my language, was going like a bat out of hell. I mean, it was moving. Well, like I say, John was never my favorite, but I found myself, I mean, you still feel when something happens like that, but I found myself so distraught. I sobbed all night long. I could not shake the feelings and the grief that was coming up because of what had happened, which then encouraged me. A short time later, they had a memorial service for Lennon, and they were doing this all over the world, I think on the same day, where they were having a service in Central Park where people were going to meet and hold a silent vigil for 10 minutes to honor him. Now, I don't normally like big crowds like that, so I would not have gone. But because of what happened, I could not go. So on the day of the service, I found myself with 100,000 other people walking into Central Park in the area around Strawberry Fields. And we all walked in. They were talking a little bit, but quiet. We all found our space, standing. I don't remember exactly how they let us know, but they let us know when the 10 minutes started. And then there was 10 minutes of total and complete silence. The only thing that you actually heard was the helicopters flying around above us, the media, recording it. And they said after that there was not one pickpocket, there was not one act of violence of any kind in the park that night, during those 10 minutes. Now, and so when the end of the 10 minutes, when it ended, we knew the 10 minutes were over by them playing this song.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living life in kill or die for. No religions too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
And when the last note of the song ended, this was what was so incredibly amazing. The last note of the song ended, and 100,000 people walked out of that park in silence. It was like we had set an intention to honor this man of peace. And we came in there and we did what we had intended to do, maintaining not only the silence for the 10 minutes, but the silence as we walked back out into our lives. And the same thing was going on in places all over the world. Now you tell me, what can we as a people achieve if we set our mind to it? We can achieve anything. 100,000 people standing for 10 minutes, not making a sound. So I have no idea to this day whether that cab did have John Lennon in it or not. Doesn't matter. Whoever was in that cab, I am so grateful, because from that happening, it got me to go to that memorial service, which changed my life. And now I'm standing here and able to share that story with you. Thank you. Thank you so much.